Oh, there's Ralphie.
I'll put him on speaker when we're ready.
Okay.
Can I read it?
Yeah. Well, no problem.
Clock's a couple minutes slow. Yeah.
Okay, might as well get going here. Okay, it's Tuesday, May 28th. It's 7 p.m. It's Board of Selectmen's meeting. We have a roll call starting with my right.
Steve Smith.
Chester Girardi.
Rick Cuzzy.
Jim Ralston. Chip Huzzy. For the record, there's a quorum, and these minutes are being recorded. First on the agenda is Ralph Cresta, Chief of the Fire Department.
Thank you. I have Chief Cresta on the phone. He was unable to attend, but is joining us remotely. Ralph, are you there?
I am here.
Thank you.
You all set?
Go for it.
Yeah, at this point, I became a candidate for the second hire of the fire department. This gentleman has met all the curriculum. He did his fire two. He's an EMTA, got his TDL. Background check is complete. Starting pay, he's putting it at $20 per hour. The only thing we have left to do, and I didn't want to spend any money till we talk tonight, is do the medical, and that can be done in the next 2 days. Then we're ready to go with this gentleman. Background check went very well. He did very well in his classes, and he had everything we needed to meet with him. If there's any questions on this, speak up.
Any questions from the board?
No.
No, trust the judgment.
Okay. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a hiring of a full-time firefighter, a EMTA, at Chief Cresta's discretion.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thanks, Chief.
He'll be at the next Board of Selectmen's meeting, which is, I think, is on the 8th, is that correct?
Ken. You can be on the 8th, be by yourself.
Well, thanks very much for letting me come in on the phone.
No problem.
Thank you. Bye now.
Right. Okay. Next we got on the agenda is the meeting with the Recreation Commission.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We had scheduled to discuss recreation committee meetings and the requirements under RSA 91, 83. However, the director of the rec committee is unable to attend tonight, and she has requested that the board take this up on the next meeting, being Monday, June 10th, if the board so desires.
I agree. I think rec department should be here. I don't know if they had enough notice.
They have plenty of notice.
When
It's
was
a burden. That's what I'm quoting. It's a burden.
Okay. When were they notified?
A week ago.
Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday. Who was notified?
I notified the chair of the committee, Sharon Hudson.
Thank you. I would table it for a meeting, but my
I'm
opinion.
going to recommend that we send a letter to each committee member explaining what problems we're having. This is a right-to-know issue. All somebody has to do is file a request, and they've got to comply with it. They have to deal with the Attorney General's office, and I don't want it to go that far. We have not received minutes since October. I have a couple of suggestions that they may want to look at for their business meetings. I don't really care about their planning and social meetings, but their business meetings, we got to get that under control and quickly. Hey, you got a second on moving it to the 10th?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, next we got on the agenda is approval of minutes.
You'll find in your packets the minutes of Monday, May 13th.
Anybody have any errors?
I had one thing just for clarification, and maybe Charlotte can go back in the minutes and look. On section 3, whatever page that is, under the road paving issue, the motion was made, and I'd like to just some clarification. The Water's Edge Road construction is not being done by Bayside, it's being done by Lyman.
That's
Is
correct.
that correct? So
Yeah.
that, I think, needs to be just clarified as that motion. The way it reads right now in the minutes, I don't think that motion is clear. It just needs to be clarified a little bit, because it just says Barassa at the top, it doesn't say. It's just a clarification thing. I don't think it's an issue, just to clarify. Other than that, I would move to approve the minutes of the meeting of Monday, May 13th.
Second.
As amended.
As amended, just for clarification.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Coakley update.
Okay, recently, the Portsmouth City Council had a workshop meeting with the Copeland Landfill Group on Monday, May 20th. Selectman Smith and myself were present for that meeting, where they decided that the plume has not been expanding. They're in the middle of a 2-year study, however, and they'll continue to monitor that site. In addition, the EPA has been in contact with me about the use of the conference room here for a meeting with the selectmen and/or other community leaders that are interested in discussing the Coakley site with them. That meeting will take place here on June 4th. It's a Tuesday between noon and 4, and will be by appointment. So if you'd like to set aside a 15-minute, 20-minute block with the EPA to express any concerns that you may have, please contact me and I'll put you in the schedule for an appointment. The larger meeting is going to be the following day on Wednesday, June 5th. That's when we've been notified that the EPA will be holding a listening session. Because they expect it may draw a large crowd or has the potential to, they're holding it at the Bethany Church on Breakfast Hill Road from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Again, that's June 5th from 6 to 8 at the Bethany Church on Breakfast Hill. And information has been posted on that and is in your packet.
They're gonna put that out as a press release, right?
It already has been
Okay.
included by the Seacoast Media Group as a publication in their paper. I believe we have it up on our website and we've shared it on Facebook.
Weeks library update?
Okay, thank you. We have an architect bill that's going to be in the manifest, so we'll address that when we go through the manifests. So that's all I have for updates at this time. I see one of the trustees is in the audience if she has any additional input on updates.
I think you all are, Marcia McLaughlin, 47 Nantucket Place. I think you all are aware of the filing and the temporary order that was issued by the court on the Cypre and Quiet title. We're just waiting now. The third printing of the notice.
That was in Friday's paper.
Right,
And unfortunately, according to our legal opinion, we don't have a set time for when this is going to be resolved. So with courts, sometimes things go through quicker than expected. Sometimes they take longer. And
so we're just waiting.
We're just waiting at this point.
But the library trustees, through our attorney, had also, he put in a motion to have the trustees named as an intervener as well with the Board of Selectmen, since we have an interest, especially in the side parade. That's all I have.
PDA update.
On May 15th, I spoke with the New Hampshire State Senate Executive Department and Administration Standing Committee, and I testified there. In addition, a number of other people from the community attended. Former Selectman Vaughn Morgan was there, New Hampshire State Representative Dennis Malloy, who's in the audience here tonight and may have additional information regarding this. Planning Board Chair Rich Windsor, Chief Tara Laurent, and former Selectman Paul Sanderson, in addition to others that were there to advocate for Greenland having a seat on the PDA. It did pass this committee by a vote of 5-0, so it's moving forward, and that's a very good sign. It still needs to go to vote by the full Senate, and then providing that it's approved, then it would go to the governor. And this bill, as amended, would give Greenland a seat on the PDA and half of a vote. So I don't know if you'd like to have any additional input from Representative Dennis Malloy, but he is in the audience.
Dennis Malloy, Manhattan. Yeah, thank you. It was a good hearing. I want to commend everybody for their support. Matt did a great job. He had a bit of a challenge because by the time he got up to speed, everybody had pretty much said everything there needed to be said. So he added we covered everything. He did a great job and brought up the PFAS and PFOA issues in this area, and the water quality issue, which really got everybody's attention. I was watching the 5 senators up there, and when I don't think Matt saw it because he was reading off some pretty precise notes, but they looked up and paid very close attention to that. That was they're aware of that. So while we have that problem here, it's a good thing that they were aware of it. I'm told that we're hopeful that we will get this thing on what we call a consent calendar, so that it'll go through the Senate without a specific vote on that bill. That will go through as voted 5-0, and with one vote by the Senate to pass that thing. Don't know yet. Things change, but I'm very hopeful. And I would say that Senator Tom Sherman, and Senator Martha Ford Clark really went to bat for us on this and made some great compromises, some great ideas and additions, and helped us accomplish something that's long overdue. So thank you for your support too, everybody. It's important for them to know that the selectmen are behind this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis.
Okay. Next, we have Town Hall Streams update.
Okay, as you know, Town Hall Streams was approved by the board, and we're moving forward. Both Doug and Eric were here talking about the logistics, and we're hoping to bring this online for the meeting of July 8th, 2019.
Excellent.
Okay, next we have is public comment section of the select board meetings.
Okay, in the past, some of the board members have expressed interest in having a public comment section at the selectmen meeting. And towards that end, the board's received information about public comment guidelines that other towns, in particular the ones that you were presented with, were from the town of Barrington. If the board wishes to add a specific public comment section, it may be a good idea to adopt a policy similar to that for moving forward. So
I'd like to say if we do decide to go this route, I'd like to have a work session and the whole board works on it and brings it to fruition as a board, not one person writes it and gets approval from the rest of the members, we all write it together. Because as Chairman Huzzy has reminded us, no power is won, only as a board.
Any other comments? What are we looking for a schedule if we're gonna have another work session? That's Mondays work best for everybody, or?
Fine with me.
Yep.
I think that's the best way to go about it.
Next Monday? What are you gonna say? Next Monday looks good.
And I do think the ones from Barrington are good examples. Set some guidelines, but they're not in concrete, they're not set in stone, so you can say, okay, you got 3 minutes, but continue, or not continue, or it's good to have options. Case in point tonight, I know Mr. Hansel is here to speak. We don't have a public comment session, so he's kind of sitting in limbo waiting to get called out, in my observation here. So if we had a public comment section, I think more people would come in and be more comfortable to speak. I think they know that they have a platform and a designated time to be heard, and I think that's a good thing. I think that goes to transparency, and more input the better. The more people that know, the more people that are involved, the better it is. So I would move to approve adding a public comment section to the Board of Selectmen's meetings after a work session.
Okay, so we're 7 o'clock?
Sure. 6 o'clock, whatever.
6 may be a little tough depending on how hot it is.
6:30.
6:30, we'll split
So,
the difference.
6:30.
How's that? See how easy that was to change, and I didn't even screw it up.
Excellent.
So we'll schedule that for next Monday, 6:30.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you send an email?
Other old business.
A reminder email?
Okay.
Don't have any other old business.
Anybody else?
Got nothing.
Okay.
This time.
Torino contracts.
Okay, so in the past, we've had a contact with Trino, however, that expired January 2019. They've been honoring the prior agreement up until the point where they've had to wait, their wait times at Cavanta, where the town takes their solid waste, has been extended such that they're occasionally waiting a couple hours. And they'd like to be compensated for the additional time that they're spending waiting. Because they have to pay their drivers, they have equipment, and the agreement the town has with Cavanta requires us to bring everything to Cavanta without exception. So therefore, the wait times are something that the town has to just deal with in some way, shape, or form. And I don't think you're going to find a hauler that's willing to wait in line for extended periods of time for nothing. So the proposal here is to continue at the new rate of $220 a haul, plus $100 an hour after the first 30 minutes of wait in line. And this came to this conversation started after we realized that Cavanta, from Cavanta, that we have not been in compliance with our agreement because Trino had been taking waste to other locations besides Cavanta because of the wait time. So we've been working to resolve that. And this proposal would resolve that. It would give them compensation for while they wait. And unfortunately, the contract we have in Cavanta doesn't expire until 2022. I have sent it to our attorney for a legal opinion as to if the town has any options based on the extended wait times. However, I have not heard back from Attorney Lawson on that at this point.
What was the reason for these wait times on Cavanta?
That's a good question. I haven't contacted Cavanta directly to inquire why the wait times are, because I was waiting for legal first to see if we had any leverage in the agreement. The thought is that more recyclable waste is going into the landfills, and there's more waste that's not being recycled. The market in China for recyclables has fallen out completely, so people are throwing away a lot more things that were previously recycled. That could be part of it. There could also be plant issues there at Cavanta. When this initially started was when the plant was shut down for a period of time, and Torino had no other option at that point but to go somewhere else, and then they found the wait times were less at the other locations, so they kept delivering the solid waste to the other locations. And it wasn't until Cavanta contacted us to ask why they haven't been receiving waste that this came to light.
Okay.
So, Matt, if I can ask you, this 2-year contract with them, is that for 2019 and 20, or is that 20 and 21?
It would be
just
current.
current.
It would be current as of, the effective date probably would, be January. They'd probably do January to January.
Okay.
Again, or we could be.
So we can look at this again in the future, just if we wanted to put it out to bid to another.
Yeah, and that's another option you have, is putting it out to bid. If you think you could do better with another hauler.
Right.
It could be put out to bid as well. I think the last time the town found Torino to have the better agreement.
So do we know where the trash was going?
There's a facility near Haverhill, I believe.
Yeah, that's where it's going.
Is that Cavanta as well?
No.
Did we get a bill from another company from receiving all our trash? We just paid the hauling and the waste was free? You know what I'm saying?
We were,
Follow me?
I'm following you. You're asking where,
Where'd the trash go and who paid for the disposal of it?
I could go through the prior invoices to determine that. I don't know offhand.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, somebody had to be paying for the.
We had to pay somebody, right? I mean,
Because
I
we're
wonder,
paying the haul rate.
did Troiano pay they didn't pay
No, I
the
don't think they
disposal
would
fee
pay
for
that.
sure, because
Yeah.
they brought it somewhere else. I'm just very curious.
Yeah, I can look into that for you.
Does that make sense? Anybody? Yeah.
Also, Matt, I got a question. Why didn't Cavanta, when they shut down and,
Mhm.
Troiano, get a hold of them just to see how long they were gonna
Right.
shut down so this didn't
I
happen?
think you have a legal case where you could cite the Triano was responsible for.
Was that in their contract?
The contract, yes, if you look at it, it says Cavanta on this contract, so.
Yeah,
Yes. So ultimately, if Cavanta were to hold the town responsible for roughly $20,000 in damages is what they estimated, the town could then try to pass that on back to Torino because we have a contract saying where it's to go.
okay.
20,000 in damages that Cavanta did not receive.
That's what they
Right.
estimated the lost revenue was from us not bringing our waste to
All right,
Cavanta.
so,
But they said they would
We got
not hold us, they
$20,000.
said they would not pursue that,
right.
providing we
No.
correct the situation. So this is an effort to correct the
Right.
situation,
So this kind of goes
so we
back.
don't have to pay the
And
20,000.
I'm just curious, this is just for knowledge.
Yes.
I'm not coming at you at all.
Oh, no.
So there's $20,000 of waste out there that we didn't have to pay for?
I don't say, we didn't pay Cavanta for it. Who we paid would be a good question that I could look into for. It would be roughly, this happened roughly back in the fall, according to
Right.
Paul.
Just- How could that not have got, if we were writing checks to a company that we don't have a contract with, how that didn't get caught in this house first? And that seems like that would be the logical progression of that. Troiano will
It's
give
a
us a
logical
bill.
thought pattern.
Does Cavanta said, so we have a contract with Cavanta
Cavanta.
Yes.
only?
Yes.
So anywhere else we'd be like,
For sold, yeah.
we'd be a customer at will, but by chance that Troiano's got our trash, can you take it today?
Mhm.
It's very strange.
Yeah, I'll have
I
another
look forward to some answers on this one.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next, we have parking on Church Street.
In the packet, you'll find information on parking from a prior board meeting on May 7th, 2018, where the board discussed parking there. And it was suggested that a letter be written to the church council asking parishioners not to park on that side of the road for safety. It doesn't appear that letter was written. There are concerns by some about parking along Church Lane across from the church because it's causing damage to the grass and some of the sprinkler system there. Not in your packet, but I provided a recent email as well from Chief Lorenz regarding the parking situation over there. And her recommendation, if the board wanted to post that area as no parking, would that be that the town establish a parking ordinance for the town of Greenland and include that so it can be enforced. So the question would be, how would the board like to proceed?
I have a question. Has the church council been approached about this?
It doesn't appear that a letter was written, so unless an individual
So they don't know
selectman
anything about this?
approached them. It doesn't, we don't have any written record showing that they do.
Okay. And you haven't contacted them?
I haven't contacted them. I didn't know how this board would like to proceed. That was a decision made in 2018 with a prior board. See if this is
I remember that. Send a letter again, or attempt to send a letter this time? That's what we agreed to, the last board agreed to, at least. We'd be nice about it first. We'd ask nicely and then tell if there weren't any results.
I think it always helps to ask nicely the first time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, let's send them a letter. Ask nicely.
The other thing is, I think Paul was mentioning was the fact how far on the lawn they're pulling. They had almost somebody parking in the flower bed at one time. So, just driving by it, I thought that we may want to think about maybe putting some type of fencing up there that shows people not to go that much further on, protecting the sprinkler heads and the flower beds and stuff.
When did we put sprinkler heads in there?
Oh, that's a long time ago. I think Dick Rugg was an administrator back then. They said a long time ago.
Why not rock?
I don't remember even seeing them in there, but.
Fencing.
Well, I just went three 8-foot sections, just put them in front of the flower beds and so people don't pull all the way onto the grass, and that might be the politest way to handle that. But yeah, that's really tight getting a fire truck down through that area when they're parked on both sides of the road.
Absolutely.
And the other thing I looked at, the parking lot actually the church has is town. And that green area that's to the south, where the drainage goes down,
Yeah.
that's also town.
Right.
I almost wonder if we may want to look at that as possibly making it parking at some time in the future, getting the cars off the road.
I don't know.
Maybe for the library too.
Yeah.
It would help them. Not trying to get a separate church.
Well, actually, we could probably have Jim take a quick look at that using the GIS and see how many parking spaces we got out if we did that.
What benefit does the town get?
It gets the road opened up.
So there's a no parking sign for a lot less money, in my opinion, but sounds like we're gonna build a church parking lot.
We gotta build a library parking lot too.
Oh, we can start right
With
there.
with what funds?
Well, it'd have to be something,
Out of the library, out of the library fund?
don't know.
Okay.
Don't know how much it costs. You kind of got the cart before the horse right now. They do it, but
I mean,
Anyway.
this is our town. We should provide parking for people going to the church, going to the library.
going with gazebo. But it is tight. It does get real tight, especially in the winter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm not an engineer, I don't know.
And I think your biggest problem, not to say it's a problem, but the biggest issue there would be also if you have a funeral during a day, during the week, the traffic is busier than on a Sunday morning, is gonna be a bigger issue than.
It's scary. And it's something to look at, that's all I'm saying. Not that I want to spend money on that, but
Yeah.
I don't wanna get in a big peeing contest with an organization, we don't have to.
Send them a letter. Next.
Don't park on the flower bed. What else we got? Carpeting Town Hall.
You have in your packet an estimate from Coastal Core Fashions for the carpeting in the entryway, the hallway, the building inspector's office, the town administrator's office, and the assessor office. 5,000 had been previously budgeted. The estimate for this work is $45.64. And again, the plan is to replace the carpeting in the town clerk's office and the conference room here in the next budget. I would recommend, however, holding off on the carpeting vote and tabling this until we are sure that we have an adequate budget to justify the expense. I don't think it's an urgent expense, and I think it could be postponed until we have a better feel on the budget. But I leave that up to the board.
Hypothetically, if we hold off for 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, would it change the quote?
It could possibly change the quote. Up or down, usually up.
Usually up, yes. That was my only question. If it-
Well, we've got a lot of expenses coming up this year. So I'm gonna move to wait on replacing the carpet in the entry hallway, building inspector's offices, town administrator's office and assessor's office until later in the year.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. I would like to see 2 more estimates. I don't think one's enough.
Okay.
That's just good business.
Okay, so
So I'll move to wait, and I'd like to see 2 more. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
LED lighting for the town hall complex.
thank you. Okay, I have met with representatives from Affinity LED Lighting and Energy Management Consultants about LED lighting here in the Town Hall complex and the Police Department. The warrant, which was Article 8, allocated $24,311 to fund the conversion of the lighting in the town office and police station to LED lighting. I have quotes that include the space at the town hall complex currently occupied by the town hall staff, this wing of the building, as well as the other wing of the building, which is where the fire department staff currently are, as well as the police department. And both quotes are included here and come in under budget. The Affinity quote was for $22,690, and the EMC quote is for $20,469, and includes more lights with different features. And the payment terms are more beneficial to the town as well. And their payment would be due at the end of the project, which is another thing that could favor them over the other vendor. And they will also process all the Eversource incentives, and they have a special relationship with Eversource where they get a higher discount than other vendors. So I would recommend EMC for this project.
I'll move to approve the installation of LED lighting in the town hall complex and police department by Energy Management Consultants not to exceed $24,311.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, we have other new business.
We have a vote.
Oh, sorry about that, chief. All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, they voted now. Back to the page. Anybody got new, other new business?
Anybody?
Yeah, somebody would like to talk, it's fine.
That's you.
That's you, Frank.
Thanks, guys.
Frank Hampster, 542 Portsmouth. The reason for my presence tonight was to see how you guys operate. Very nice, enjoyed it. And I'd like to help the town out with the school project. I recall that when I had a survey of the school project in terms of boilers, roof, all that stuff that went in that leasing program, that they really were confused about what they were doing. But the concept they approached me with was that they were going to provide some information, some dollar amount, and then the town would look at it for a lease. Now, I understand that the school is one section, you guys are another section, but I didn't want to go to the school without some guidance from you guys, because quite frankly, and I don't mind saying, Chip, you understand the boilers as I do.
Yep.
And I know that, Jake, you went through it with me. We had a tour of the building, we went with Warren and Pat Walsh. Pat Walsh asked me at his last meeting as chair if I would continue to assist them to, make choices that were beneficial to us. And Amy, who I guess is leaving, also suggested that there was a chance to be some sort of a committee, to go forth and make choices about how to go about handling the deficiencies of the school. You guys may or may not know my history. I've been a landlord for almost 50 years. I've taken care of hotels up the East Coast for almost 30 years. So a large building like the school is really not that big, but there are many things that do not require any movement. The concept that I understood from the leasing program was that they were going to take the 3 separate boiler scenarios and make them a universal one. Well, that really doesn't make any sense. I think we all agree, and Chip, I'm sure you would state too, is that the stone section of the school is certainly in severe trouble. That's got to go. And it has no backup. When you get into the other 2 sections of the school, that both of them have backups, a primary and a backup. And there's no need to tie them all together. That doesn't make sense at all. So I don't know who to approach, if anybody, but I was given the impression from Pat Walsh, from Amy, that they might like some of my assistance. And you guys, I think your hands are pretty well tied. But I didn't want to go talk to the school to see if I could help them with their problem without you guys saying it's okay to do, or maybe you don't want me to do anything. So I've come to you tonight to say, I have the experience. I know what to do in most cases, not all. But this is an area that the town is going to pay dearly for on stuff that, quite frankly, I don't see the expenses that they're projecting at 1.3 million and change on a leasing program that will ultimately cost us, I don't know, close to 2 million over a period of time. I must suggest to you, Chip, what do you think the boiler would run for? $250,000 with a stone for conversation piece?
Conversation, that'd be a whole system, needs a whole system. My biggest complaint is they've had a salesman telling them what should be done. And I have a problem with salesmen. Because they always promise the customer they're gonna save money. Well, the old section of school has steam piping in it, and it's steam piping, it's not thin radiation. Steam piping does not begin to heat to hit temperatures of 160 degrees. So they're not gonna be able to, boilers will never condensate to heat that building. They should be condensating in the spring and in the fall, winter they don't. But if they went in and replaced that whole system, the panel radiators, 2 boilers would do it, they'd be in good shape, probably $250,000, a little high.
But you could solve that.
You can solve, they can always go down, I don't mind it going down.
And the other aspect of the roof, over the gym that's leaked from the beginning of time, again, my hotel world, is membranes, ballast, insulation under the membrane. So, if you had to replace that whole section, you're not talking $1 million here. And I'm really challenged. And the windows for the old section, sure. Maybe a granite stained glass. I mean, there are plenty of purveyors around here. Rather than dealing with a guy who's operating as a GC, You know, and in all fairness, I don't know who the chair is for the school right now, and maybe if you guys want me to, I can speak with them, but I just see it as a big waste, and I see the school has needs, don't get me wrong, and I could help them address their needs. But $1.3 million seems, on a lease, just has a bad bite to it. So I guess I'm saying to you know, maybe tell me who the board, who the new chair is, or maybe you guys don't want me to do anything. I mean, I can go back to my house and, you know.
Well, the tax bills just went up, so I think that brought everybody's attention at the time.
I should let the board know as well that a building permit was just issued to the school for a number of these projects, so time would be of the essence, I think, if you were to try to influence a lot of these projects, because the permits.
But I do know that the people that are with the school board that are handling this really have no experience. None. And it's just, they tell me maintenance, big boilers, they're not efficient. They're not efficient at all. They just weren't made that way. You got something, Jim?
Well, yeah, I don't think that we can give a blessing to Frank other than our own personal blessing to go and speak to him. But I don't think we want to get into a contest with the school board about who's doing what. So if Pat Walsh had already spoken to you and asked for your help, then I think you should go for it. That's my opinion.
I think they need the help.
I'm sure they do.
So who do I see?
I have no idea.
I'd start with the superintendent,
Sal.
Sal. I know it began with S, but I couldn't remember. It's still in the back of my mind, didn't come forward yet.
Wasn't Maria somebody?
Maria Emery's the chair now, yes.
Is the chair.
Do we have contact information for her?
Charlotte may have it.
Well, I'll knock on a couple of doors and I see some of you guys around town and share what I find, for good or for bad.
Good luck.
You know, we could all win, including the school.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to educate anybody, I couldn't educate myself. But I can certainly help with the miscellaneous mechanical pieces of this.
I think help or not, you're here trying. That's important.
Thank you, Jay.
I think in the 2 years I've been in this chair, I don't think anybody else is coming in to donate, to ask to donate their time and their expertise. So I appreciate it. Whether it goes anywhere or not, it's appreciated.
We'll try.
It's effort. The effort is appreciated. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have anything they want to bring up? I got a question for the board. Yeah. Got some take-home reading, not really. There is an RSA that allows us to have a community revitalization tax relief. The reason I started looking at this is I don't see the town of Greenland increasing its commercial district at all. It's not really favorable to take it across the bridge where there's no water and there's no sewer. But we got, looking at some of the older portions of the town, we might be able to have a property, somebody come in and say the telephone garage, they move out. They buy that and they revitalize it and make it worth twice as much. Yeah, they can have tax relief up to 5 years to do something like that. There's a bunch of rules and stuff. It comes under RSA 79E. The other thing is historic buildings. I don't really want to do anything like Portsmouth did. I call them historic Nazis, but give them also tax relief if they're going to restore a historic building within certain specifications. And I didn't know if there was interest in continue looking into that or no interest whatsoever.
I'd be down for the historic relief. not so much the revitalization. I think property values are just sky high. If you're gonna buy that building, you don't need tax relief. In my opinion, that's my opinion right now, but with limited knowledge on the topic, that's my personal opinion.
Well, I think, in my opinion, to go with what Chester said, I mean, if you're gonna move into let's take, for instance, the old fire station, just as an example. Technically, I guess it's maybe not a historic building, but in community value, I mean, it might be. So if somebody was gonna move in there and revitalize that building to, use it for another purpose, I think it's worthwhile, it's a worthwhile benefit. Like Chip was saying, this historic district within the city, within Portsmouth is kind of obscure because they can tell you what color to paint your buildings, what color to, what you have for sidewalks, what you have for basically anything you do with that piece of property, they can tell you how to manage it. I think as far as revitalization necessarily for, like Chipper said, the telephone office building, if they were to move out, I mean, we wouldn't necessarily go in and say, okay, you can't paint it purple, but I mean, for whatever use, as far as it would come to the planning board, I think it would be a worthwhile thing to at least have a say of what happens with that property.
Yeah. As I said, with the revitalization of commercial properties, it'd be something you would set the goals that has to raise the value of the property at least by double. You take that concrete building and you turn it into a nursing home, you easily double the price of the building. Even if they just leveled it and started from scratch. Dover's been doing a lot of it, if I'm not mistaken. Dover, Rochester's been doing it. And I'm just looking at,
What benefit to the town?
the benefit for the town, and eventually will be more tax money.
But while the improvements are made, it's basically a tax reduction because you're not paying for the improvements during that time period. But at the end of that time period, then you're gonna get hit with a higher assessed value on the property.
Right, it'd be kind of a
No,
deferral.
I understand that.
Yeah. And as far as historic buildings go,
I'll take all the
they
taxes
also
now and all
have
the
tax
taxes
relief for historic barns as well, if you have any.
Well, as I said, I'm looking at what the school is spending
Don't get my mother started.
on our average increases, approaching $1 million per year. So we gotta find some way of offsetting that. And we've got nothing that's coming down the pike that's gonna. So that's why I was looking at it. If you don't wanna look at it, I won't look at it, but I thought the
No,
historic.
let's take a look at it.
I think the historic was a real good idea, because I don't wanna tell them what windows to put in. I don't know what windows I wanna put in. But, and if you wanna keep it as historic as you can, as original as you can, all the more power to you.
Well, we're talking like a historic district commission, or are we talking
No.
about tax relief?
It's
That's
tax
two different
relief.
things.
It's
In my
tax
mind, that's two different, totally
Well,
different.
actually, if you read 79E, it goes through some of the stuff you can do and what you have to do.
Right, I think
It has to be a
To
district
qualify.
to qualify, yes.
Right.
It has to be a district because you can't put a blanket all over the whole town. Unfortunately, Greenland doesn't have really a historic district. It has, in the center of town, there's a lot of historic homes, yes.
Right.
But a lot of them still land on the outskirts. We really can't cover them under this. So, which is too bad, I'd like to. But, yeah, I'll put together some facts and figures and we'll see where that goes.
Absolutely.
As long as there's interest, I just didn't want to waste my time if no one was interested in it. Anything else?
Not for me.
So we have the manifest next.
Yep.
They've been.
They're all down there.
They're all down here.
I can. Okay, yeah.
Where it's gonna come from.
You can show me these.
This would come from the CRM.
North Station.
It's come to the board, the recommendation.
Yep. Thank you, Steve.
Before I sign it.
Dial in and.
I'm kind of confused with why we're getting the bills.
Thank you.
I said this a while back. Why are we gonna give them more bills until we get the site rate down? So I'm a little confused why we have a $2,500 bill here. This was,
We've got a $2,500 bill because the building inspector keeps asking questions.
My point exactly, I think I brought that up at the last meeting.
We have 3 different manifests.
I thought it was done. I thought it was over. Nothing was gonna happen until I'm not. That's why. I didn't ask the building inspector to ask any questions.
Well, no, I'm not saying
Don't
you
come at
did.
me, don't come at me, I'm asking, I thought we weren't gonna have any more bills, that's all I'm asking.
Well, we have to have, there's gotta be some bills.
Construction documents, which are actually what?
So we're discussing,
Prints, plans, what are the construction documents?
Well,
See these documents?
you want me to address your question, Mr. D?
Yes, please.
When I asked Craig specifically about it, he said it is the continuing request that we have had from our building inspector here in town
Yes.
that have required additional construction documents as well as copying for them.
Right, but we don't get to look at the documents for $2,500? I mean, I'd like to see them.
Well, Jim has all the documents in
He
his
does?
office. Oh, yeah, the full set.
All right, good. That's excellent. I guess I'll sign it when I see it.
Go ahead, make a motion. Someone else hasn't signed it besides me. Just, go ahead,
Just.
so the library, on the library invoice on the manifest, there are two parts that will need to be to your motion. One would be for the approval, and then where would you like the funds to come from? The library has requested that they come out of the bond. So that is their request. The town, according to the legal advice we've received, has the option of pulling it from the CRF as well. This is due to the town vote and the warrant, which authorized the town to expend the money from the CRF and the bond. The attorney felt that the right is with the board to make that determination of where to make that fund, and that overrides the original CRF agents, which the original agents of that warrant were the trustees and the board. However, with the new vote, that overrides the prior authority given to the trustees and the board and gives it solely to the town to make the decision, because the authorization was given by the town to expend the money from CRF and the bond. And I apologize, we haven't had a chance to have this discussion, but the trustees would prefer it come out of the bond and then have it, once the bond is expended, to use the CRF as well. So that's what they're requesting and have noted on the invoice.
Thank you. I didn't know that, but thank you.
On the documents, what is it building materials, life safety he's asking? Or-
You'd have to ask Jim what, he's been pretty nitpicky.
Because I'm gonna be right up front, if I find out that he is going by zoning regulations, he is not gonna want me in that office.
Well,
I read his letters to the
recorder's
library.
on, yes.
He cannot do that.
Well, the communication really has taken me and Craig out of it. It's really pretty much been between him and the architect. The architect responds to the questions. He continues, and if you want me to, I can send you the last communique with the points that he says are still outstanding. Part of them is the agreement between the church and the library, which we feel is out of his purview to oversee.
That is out of his.
On the septic and on the driveway.
Legal concurs with that opinion. That it is
Okay.
out of the
I think-
purview of the.
I think Jim needs to be told to quit spending our tax money. Get down to life safety, and that's all they should be dealing with right now.
If you wish to discuss employee matters, might I suggest we do that under non-public?
I signed it. In the future, I'd just like to see, from now on, until we start building,
Right.
if there's documents, I'd like just a copy.
A
A
copy,
copy with the bill, something like that, or
I'm sorry, a
copy
copy.
of documents.
Well, but in this case, I think what she's talking about is building documents. I will go
Documents.
back with him and find out.
Right, no matter, documents is this, right, no matter what, if it's a building document or
Well,
a
okay.
shipping document, a document is a.
Well, if it's a blueprint
Shrink it
document,
down, it can be shrunk
okay.
down, and at least I can see something.
Okay.
I need to see something.
Okay, well, you do have to understand that the number of hours that have gone into just answering Jim's questions alone have been.
I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus.
No, I'm not throwing him under the bus.
I'm not gonna
either,
do
I'm just
that.
saying.
I'm not gonna do that. If he, I mean,
No, I'm not.
it's a slippery
because-
slope and it's a sticky
Yes, it is.
situation, so.
Yes, it is, I agree.
I think we all know that, and we have
Yes, we
mutual
do.
respect, I hope.
Exactly. Oh, very much so, Jeff.
I know that, thank you.
You know.
So that's it, that's all.
Church agreements, do we?
Well,
Have those, or just-
well, no, let me explain to you before I leave, and you guys do the rest of it. Because of the temporary order that the court has issued, it is probably going to take any need for temporary agreements out, because the court states that the pre-existing conditions, which include the septic system on the library property and the pre-existing U-shaped driveway that is mutually used by the church and the library, are pre-existing and therefore stand as they are.
Right.
So that we have to wait, but we probably don't require anything with them now. But we have to wait
That would
until the
just
whole cypre, the
Right.
cypre portion goes through.
Right.
Because that's what addresses most of that.
Okay, thank you.
It's difficult.
We're all in holding pattern.
Thank you guys. Have a good
Thanks,
evening.
Marcia. Good night.
Your umbrella.
Good luck with the North Station thing.
Thank you, and thank you for the phone number.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the attached manifest for unpaid bills detailed as of May 30th, 2019 in the amount of $2,521.60.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Where's the money gonna come
Yeah,
out?
we need to,
You just need to make a motion where it's gonna come from.
Sierra.
Your amendment should include, your motion, if you may, should include where you would like that to come from, the bond fund or CRF.
Okay,
They're recommending the bond. Legal says that the board can make that determination.
okay, I stand corrected on that. Is where the funds are supposed to come from, bond proceeds, the capital reserve fund, or the general fund?
I'd like to see it come out of the CRF myself. One vote CRF.
I personally bond fund. So I'd like to make a motion that we take the proceeds out of the bond.
second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One.
Okay, I move that we approve the attached manifest of unpaid bills detail as of May 30th, 2019, in the amount of $203,919.64. This manifest includes, includes a typo. Includes a no Greenland School District payment. In other words, we're not making a payment, I guess, but it's not worded properly. This manifest includes no Greenland School District payment, I guess.
There's no
There's
payment
no
to the
school.
school.
It ain't double what that is, so.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
I second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good.
I move we hereby approve the attached payroll number 11, pay date May 30th, 2019, for the period May 13th, 2019, through and including May 26, 2019. Gross amount excluding payroll liabilities, $58,224.66.
Second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That sounded like a bad word.
Steve, you were the second to that?
Sure.
He tried. He tried.
Oh.
Just trying to move things along.
Okay.
Where are we at?
Next thing on the agenda is a non-public, if you want to take a quick break and go in here.
Yes.
Take a few minutes.
Should go off the recorder now, or?
Yeah, we can turn the recorder off for now. You know how to do that, Steve? You get trained? I got
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion for a non-public.
Make a motion, we move to enter into non-public section at this time.
Roll call vote.
Steve Smith?
Mr. Duraki?
Richard Huzzy?
Jim Rolls,
Chip Hussey.